Shalom uvracha.
Welcome everybody.
Welcome. We starting a new book. Deuteronomy. Tell you honestly, I'm more than 40. It's first time I'm saying this word properly.
You know what? And he doesn't even know what it means, but it's okay.
Okay.
It's great.
It's the book of Deuteronomy. Devarim. It's the root of the word Dalet, Bet, Resh, Davar. Diburim, talks. Very interesting. This whole book is a repetition of the 4 books. And Moshe is telling the Israelites the stories, what happened with them. There's lots of talking, but those talking coming out of the mouth of Moses. So the portion is Dvarim, talks. Inyanim.
The whole book is Devarim.
The whole book is Dvarim.
Not just the third part. The whole book is Devarim.
Exactly. And this portion is Dvarim. And in this coming Shabbos as well, it's very interesting Shabbos because it called Shabbat Chazon. It's the 3rd Shabbos in the 21 days. Not so good days for Israel.
Not yet.
Not yet, but hopefully
Soon,
right now, soon.
Yeah, really.
So in Shabbat Chazon, the soul is going to see the 3rd temple. Visionary. How you say Shabbat Chazon?
Shabbat Chazon is actually something we get from Rav Levi Yitzchak Berditchev, because he talked about this idea that we see the vision of the 3rd temple during the Shabbat. People say during the sleep. Some people sleep. Some people do it while they're sleeping while they're not sleeping. But whatever it may be, we get this vision of the 3rd temple. It means we see the potential of what these weeks have, because the whole focus of these weeks is not the morning, is redemption. And in Chabad, we don't focus on the morning as much. We focus much more on the redemption. That's why we're learning the laws of the 3rd temple. And God willing, this Shabbat, we're going to see the vision of the 3rd temple. And before Tisha B'Av, we're going to see the 3rd temple, God willing. So we want that to actualize, and it should be for each and every one of us to see.
Amen. I have to tell you honestly, Mordechai, when I joined Chabad and they told me about these Shabbos that you're going to see the 3rd temple, so you hear the rabbi talking and you think like, I remember myself going to sleep and I'm going into deep meditation, telling to myself, Eyal, don't miss the time when everyone is going to see the temple. And I remember myself waking up the other morning and saying, did anyone saw the temple? See the temple? Did I miss it? What time was it?
You didn't see it. It was 3:45 in the morning. We missed it, but okay. Next year you'll see it.
In Kabbalah it says that every soul going to see the temple. Deep, it says in our sleep, most of us is elevating up to higher worlds. And over there in the higher world, the soul is seeing the 3rd temple. Why? In order to enhance it, to empower it, in order to give it strength and hope to go through the challenges of daily life. So hopefully this Shabbos we're going to see really the 3rd temple in Jerusalem, on top of Har HaBayit, on top of Misgad El-Aqsa.
Immediately.
Right now. So, in this book, as we're going into the portion, Ele advarim asher diber Moshe el kol Israel. These are the words that Moses spoke to all Israel.
Community of Israel.
Across the Jordan. Where was it? Across the Jordan. So we are going to enter Israel. And then, where was the place? Across the Jordan River. But then it says as well, Bamidbar, in the desert, in the wilderness, Mol Sof ben Paran u ben Tofel. And then we're asking, wait, where was the place? But then Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki Rashi is telling us, the translator of the Torah, those were not places. Those were events when the Israelites really like, how to say, להכעיס את Moshe. They really like,
they wanted to challenge him.
they wanted to challenge him in all. He got like angry with them. Why? Because they went according to what they think. There's what God wants. There's the truth of God, and there's what they want. And then it says here, those are not places. The place was across the Jordan, but those were moments in time. He's reminding them the stories, elevating moments in their past, in those 40 years, where they challenged Moses and God. Or more or less, it's like when they made him angry. When they made God and Moses like furious, how you say it?
They made, in other words, when they made the first mistake in the original challenge, when the spies went in to spy the land out, so everybody understood that people, instead of doing what your mind thinks and what you think to do, just follow God's instructions, and then you'll be able to search out the land and then come back and say, okay, we're ready to go in, we're ready to take the land. But no, the problem is, again, we see it again now in the first portion in Devarim, that again the Jews are again trying to do according to their intellect, and Moshe's getting upset from it.
And the first thing he's reminding the Israelites is the golden calf. What happened there? And before the golden calf, it's the portion of Yitro. And a portion of Yitro, what Yitro helped Moses to understand, that in order to manage the Israelites, you need wise people, clever people, bright people to help you to do that. What we can draw out of it, each and every one of us is managing something in his life. We need to understand Moses is starting with humility, like he's being very humble. I realize that I cannot manage you all. Each and every one of us in his life, it's either in our house, we're managing the children, in certain relationship, at work. When you want to manage your projects properly, allow yourself to receive help. You cannot do everything by yourself. On the contrary, if you cooperate and you will know that this territory, this domain, you need to be in charge of it, you will probably get into a better results. When you're getting into friction with your wife, with your husband, in education, consult other. Go and consult someone that can give you a tip how to go through. Don't try to manage with it by yourself. And after the golden calf, he's telling them that I put on you like wise people to manage you. And then he's telling the story. Which stories? Then he's talking about how they conquer Sichon. Et Sichon ve'et Og melech Bashan. Sichon was the king of the Amorites, and Og was the king of the Bashan. And he's telling them about the story. Remember all the miracles and how God helped us. And even though it's very interesting that in the verse 32 is Lamed Bet. Lamed Bet in Hebrew is Lev, is heart. And what is the heart? Moses is trying to tell us what is the inner of our heart. In this verse it says, ובדבר הזה אינכם מאמינים באדוני אלוהיכם. What does it mean? Yet in this matter you do not believe in Hashem, your God, who goes before you, and the way to seek out for you a place for you to encamp, with fire and by night. Rashi is telling us, what is בדבר הזה? God promised you that He's going to bring you into the land. Now you standing across the Jordan, you want to come in, but there are fears, there are worries. It's hard for you to trust God. And what Moses is telling us? Moses is telling us that he's telling to the sons of Israel Devarim, words, in order to what? to strengthen their hope, their trust in God. Trust in God in what? That if you decide to come to Israel, if you decide to take the Holy Land and to live here daily life, don't worry, God will be with you.
It's a very interesting. Lubavitcher Rebbe said basically the same thing during the Gulf War here. He said that a lot of Jews asked him questions whether they should come to Israel, they should or cancel their trip. They weren't sure because it was tremendous test for people. They didn't know. I remember in 1990 when the Gulf War was going on, and the Rebbe said not only you should come, and not only you should tell people you're coming, you should bring more people, and should know that the eyes of Hashem are watching the land of Israel from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So you have nothing to be afraid of. So it's clear that if the Jewish people will listen to God and know that God is watching the land of Israel, so no harm will befall to them. Unfortunately, they didn't listen to Moses all the time, and unfortunately not everybody listened to the Rebbe. So we understand that this is a problem the Jewish people have. They have a problem listening.
Problem listening, and Moses is saying, we know that according to the Torah, everything is accurate. So it's portion Aleph. Aleph goes for the one, Anochi, God, and verse 32 talks about that you do not trust God. Trusting, it's something that relates to the heart. How do you open your heart to trust in someone? So what Moses is doing here, telling them words, telling them story, telling them details. You remember how you conquered the king of the Amorites, Sihon?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what kind of miracle God did for you with Og? So most of this book is coming from the mouth of Moses, but actually God is talking to him. But in this book, something unique and new is happening. While the other four books, Moses was just a messenger, like a pipe. God is telling Moses, Moses is telling to the Israelites. Here, God is being dressed within the voice of Moses, but Moses bringing the things according to his understanding.
Like a direct line.
Exactly.
Exactly like a direct line, even though is still a conduit for it, Moshe, but nevertheless, it seems to us that it's much more direct, and Moshe's going in a direct line, and there's no waiting for God to tell him, but in contrary, he's reviewing the whole Torah now.
So it's coming through the mind and heart of Moses. And that's the new thing about this book, Deuteronomy. While the other four books been saved from God through Moses, here Moses is telling again, is reciting the stories that happened with the sons of Israel in order to what? To build their trust within God, that God can help you. And that's actually the job of the tzaddik. What's the job of the tzaddik? It's to connect the belief, your belief in faith. We all, in a way, believe in God, that God really exists, but how we internalizing it into our daily life in order to bring it in, that's what the tzaddik is doing. And the tzaddik is telling stories, and when he's saying dvarim, dvarim in Hebrew, davar, that's the root, it's the same letter of resh bet dalet, roved, layer. Roved is a layer, meaning that Moses saying the same stories but in different layers of understanding, different layers of awareness. And why we need to know that? Because in order for you to build the trust with God and with everyone, because each and every one of us is a spark of the divine, and when we're coming into our relationships, how we can overcome our fears, issues of trust, here we have to understand that we need to give details, and those details supposed to come in few layers of understanding. And when the other side is hearing the details, through the details he's hearing, he can slowly build his trust again with you. But when you're saying just a small word, a small quote, just the idea, which this is wisdom, just the seed of the idea, without giving it like nefach. How do you say nefach? Like
expanding on it.
without expanding on it, the other side can get into a mistrust issues. So that's when Moses is telling them all those things, and he's bringing all those moments when they made God angry and him angry, and he's building their trust. And that's the verse Lamed Bet, that you don't believe that really God is there to help you in your daily challenges. All you need to do is to open the channel and start to talk to him. Each and every one of us going through certain fires in life, through certain difficulties. Allow yourself to trust God that he will be there to help you. All you need to do is to ask. All you need is to request his help. And who's not allowing you to request his help is your own ego or your own fears or mistrust that you don't think that he can help you. That's why Moses is starting with Diburim, talks and bringing more details and opening the wars that they went through. See through which divine providence you went through and how God was there to help you. Let's take it even to some more layers. I want to give another example. Let's take between father, mother, and sons and daughters. If you want your child to do something for you, if you want to tell your child something that is not allowed, that is not good for him. So if you'll say just by barking or just by saying, no, you're not supposed to do that, this is not allowed. So the child will listen to you. He wouldn't do it most of the time. Yeah, I'm not talking about like how to say strong cases like
a rebellious child.
A rebellious child. In general, when you will bark or when you will say it, the child wouldn't do it. But as he grows, the child, he remembered that you said no, but he doesn't understand why. He just heard no.
He resent it after a while.
After a while, he will resent it, and he wouldn't understand. But if you will take the time to give the details, how do you see things, and bring that issue closer to his heart, how you bring this issue closer to his heart when you getting into the details, when you expanding his mind and consciousness, and you sharing with him what you see. When you start to share with him what you see without telling him what not allowed, yes allowed, not allowed, yes allowed. No, yeah, not playing the God image or the how do you know, the commander, the officer at home or in your relationships, as well at work. If you'll explain really your worker, what is it that you're trying to achieve here? If you're telling him your intention and how you see your horizon, and you're not just telling him in the horizon, I see this place goes like this and like that, but yeah, okay, give me details. When you give to the other person in your communication details, you're being more compassionate, you're bringing the other person closer to you. And that's the job of the tzaddik. Moses here, by repeating or reciting all those stories again through his consciousness, through his mind, through his understanding, then the Israelites can more understand this whole concept of being the messengers, the warriors of light of Hashem. It's easier for them to relate to this whole concept of Torah, as well in our daily relationships. And more than that, Moses is saying all those things when it says that Moses is saying it in the first month of the month, the beginning of the month, in the 11th month. What is the 11th month? Chodesh ha'achadasar. This month is the month, according to astrology, it's the month of Aquarius. Aquarius, its shape is dli, bucket, dli, meaning what Moses is doing here in this portion is basically criticizing the sons of Israel. He is criticizing them for how they behave and how come they do not trust God despite all the miracles and divine providence he made for them. So he's basically criticizing them. Here we can understand something very unique from Moses. That Moses, when he deciding to criticize Israel, when he's criticizing the Israelites before his death, even though he was there and then a bit anger, but he really didn't criticizing them, only just before he's going to pass away, Mr. Leg to elevate, then he's taking the right time and the right place to give them criticism. Think about it. Think about this patience, sovlanut. Moses is giving in the relationship with the Israelites, and we can learn in this from that and reflect it into all of our relationships. When you're going to give criticism, it's not something simple. Because when someone is giving criticism, what you're creating with the other person feeling? Shame. When you criticize someone, you're pulling out his disadvantages. And when you're pulling his disadvantages, according to the Torah, it says that his inner feeling is shame. And if the other person that you're criticizing feels shame from you, what will happen naturally? He will try to avoid you. He will separate himself from you. In Hebrew it's easier. הוא יתרחק ממך, הוא לא יתקרב.
He's gonna move away from you, and he's not gonna come closer.
Yeah.
But really, Moshe was, I think, trying to give the Jewish people some parameters here. He was trying to give them some parameters to work through life and to understand how really in life you're supposed to deal with these situations and how you're supposed to come into it in a way that you don't really give criticism to people unless you're very intimate with them, unless you're very close with them. And
that's beautiful. Only after 40 years walking with them and creating this intimacy, now you can speak with them.
Right.
And meaning that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Meaning that sometimes we think we can criticize and say everything around us. No.
That's God forbid. That's the worst thing.
Not according to our Torah. And our Torah is very sensitive, and it's in essence, it's all love. You can criticize someone only if you create really an intimacy.
To be intimate with him.
Intimate with him,
right.
Yeah. You need to be close with him, so he will be a vessel. Remember the vessel? Dli, the bucket, Aquarius. Dli, it's easier in Hebrew. Dli is the vessel for water. Water is knowledge. The Torah is water. So Moses is giving to the Israelites words of Torah, is criticizing them, but he's choosing the right moment to do it, just before he's passing away. And even after all this intimacy that he created, he's going to pass away, so they wouldn't feel shame from him, and they wouldn't feel that, okay, stay away from him, I don't want to come closer. So from that we understand less criticism in our life. We're not like tzaddikim, we're not like Moses. I cannot wait until I'll pass away to criticize. Let's be honest, I want to be honest.
Well, there's different levels of criticism. You can think about it,
yeah.
But to bring it down into speech is already a different level that is very hard to work on, and yet you really have to learn chapter 32 in Tanya, and the Alter Rebbe describes very clearly about criticism and what it means, and how it can actually help a person to grow. How can help a person to grow and to reach a higher level and to go to a higher level. Amen. And to be able to ultimately bring out his essence, and that's what Moshe was trying to do.
Beautiful. So, if we're trying to bring it into an inside affirmation to walk with, less criticism. And if you're deciding to give criticism, Moses is choosing as well the right timing and place. We're living in dimension of time and space. And that's what's so unique about this book. What is so new about this book? That now Moses is coming closer to the Israelites, trying to bring the words of God into their level, into their place. So that's why when we're reading this book over and we seeing all those stories and what they are in those stories, the power of explanation, koach hasber. If you want to create more faith and trust with in the other person, and you want the other person to trust you, work with the power of explanation. Communication come into details. The more you will explain and you'll give details, the right time, moment, and space. Because sometimes we're in a hurry, sometimes we're not available, and you're trying to push words, and the other person can even listen to you. What are you talking about? I'm not available. I'm not a bucket. English, not complicate English. I believe me, you come learning holy language, good karma coming. But never mind. Well, sometimes very profound. Never mind.
As long as not a hole in your bucket.
Yes, as long as you don't have a hole. Yes, there's some people that all their life they just like their job is they have a bucket, they receive the vessel, and an amazing vessel, but they have holes in it, and their work is it's the hardest work to close those holes. And in order to close holes, you need to be. I think that this work is for masters, because when there's a hole in your consciousness and something is not good there, it's calling you for a very refined work you need to do with yourself. Meaning that if in your patterns you're going over and over, there is a repetitive mistake that you're going through, meaning that there's a hole there, and you need to hold one moment, observation, meditate, and to do a very refined work within in order to seal this hole. So, what else we see here?
I think we have to offer people something very special now.
What?
That they should be able to write their names into us to bring down to the gravesite of the Holy Ari tomorrow night.
Amazing, yeah.
You know, this is Shabbat Chazon.
How do you say Hilula in English?
Hilula is the day of elevation and celebration of the Holy Ari, and that we're going to be going down as a group here from Ascent. So please send to us your names and your mother's name, and that we'll go down and we'll pray by the holy grave of the Ari. And it's an unbelievable thing that his day of passing comes right before Shabbat. So it's like the energy of that holiness goes right into the Shabbat, and there's like no separation there. And we want all our friends out there to take advantage of. Please send us your names.
Amen. So we see that this portion talks about the verse about trust. So we realized what is that we need to do in order to build trust. Then we saw when it's coming down to criticism, you have to choose the right time, the right space, less criticism. Yeah, we're not like Moses. I wish I'll pray on myself on the Ari to be less criticism, like really let it go, because it's not really helping. You can say your things, you can say your needs, you can say what is it that you feel, what is it that you want. That's good communication, that's compassionate communication. That's where you're bringing the other person closer to you. You're just explaining your needs, you're just explaining what you feel without criticizing the other. The other person already understand you. And as well, that we need to choose the right time and space to give criticism. And why all that? What will help you, really to lower your criticism? When you realize with yourself that every time give criticism to someone, the other person goes like he feels shame and he's going far away from you. And really, I'm asking you and I'm asking myself, do you want people to go away from you? When you're talking like that to your animalistic soul, your ego, that he's the one that want lower the other person saying criticism. Your divine soul can cope with it, can understand it. I don't want to make anyone, to give anyone shame. I don't want him to feel shame. That's not what I want to do in my life. I don't want people to go away from me. I want people to come closer to me. When you think that, that's kind of a mechanism to help you to lower your criticism. You need to do like over meditate about it. Take it like an affirmation.
Be more
to
sensitive
be sensitive. That will create sensitivity within you. That's the logic that creates sensitivity. And we'll finish with the verse Yud Gimel. Yud Gimel is 13. 13 is exactly equivalent to the word one. Echad. Aleph, Chet, Dalet. Aleph 1, Chet 8, Dalet 4, 4. Numerology, yeah?
Yeah.
So, Echad, 4, 8, and 1 is 13. It's exactly like the word love and 1 in Hebrew. 1 in Hebrew is Echad. Love in Hebrew is Ahava. 13. And in this verse 13, what Moses is talking about? Moses talking about, I chose wise. Provide yourselves men who are wise and understanding. What's the difference between men that they are wise or understanding? And why is that? You need to choose men that they are wise and understanding to do trial between you to see who is just and who is to be accused and who is not. People that really can be compassionate and really can feel you. What's the difference between wise and knowledge? Wisdom and knowledge. It says in Rashi something very interesting. A wise person is a person that if you will bring to his desk a golden coin, he will see the golden coin and then he will know what to do with it. But if the golden coin is not there, so there's nothing to talk about. But the knowledgeable people are the people that even if there's no golden coin to think about and what can come out of it, they see davar mitoch davar. How do you say davar mitoch davar?
They learn one thing from another.
One thing from another. So meaning the knowledgeable people are people that have more intelligent or intelligence? Intuition. They have more intuition that even if something is not there, meaning I'll give an example, you talk to someone and this person that hears you, you say certain words, but the other person hear you between the lines. You didn't say anything. You didn't say those words, but the other person already could feel and understand something from something. And really, those two words, to be wise and to be knowledgeable, coming in the verse Yud Gimel Ahava, meaning that it really to connect with and to feel love, it's two powers that
it's like men and women.
Men and women, exactly.
Exactly.
Chachamim,
Chachma and Bina.
Chachma and Bina,
It's
exactly.
Men, women, so
men are giving the seed, the understanding, the thing, the idea, and the women giving, expanding it, developing it, give it details to it. Same with
with intuition.
With intuition.
Yes.
So when you have the right wisdom and when you have the right knowledge which exists within the Torah, that's how you really reach love. That's how you really reach unity. Moses is choosing to say those words in this verse because the way to love and unity is through correct and refined wisdom and knowledge which exist within the Torah and exist within you as well. You just need to reveal that within you and to learn to work with those two powers, those two potentials that exist within you.
We have to find people like that in our communities to consult with them and to be with them and to understand the
Thank you.
direction
Thank
in
you,
our
Lord.
life.
Yes, because if you really want to reveal love and unity, because each and every one of us going through certain scenarios, you need to find the right mentors, the right people that are wise and knowledgeable, and to talk to them when you have certain scenarios and share with them. They will help you to enlight the love in the scenario and to understand it properly and to take you away from fears, frictions, and like fire within. Blessing you with all success. See you in the next portion.
Have a wonderful Shabbos and come visit.
Amen.